Good afternoon, and welcome to this panel on AI. I can see the smile on all the panelists' faces. I think, is AI a very confusing term? My friend from GP talked about it, but it's very important to understand the basic conceptual framework that defines the transition from automation to intelligence. And basic requirements that would make it successful, and the challenges that it poses to talent and elimination of talent. Because as I said in the morning, this is very strong news that we have 65,000 employees, 45 humans, 25 AI. And I think this comes from McKinsey, one of the intelligence agencies that tries to advise everybody, and everybody's first preference would be them in terms of advice. In fact, an organization is intelligent only if it's organized well. And let me bring this particular dilemma into picture. I've been seeing organizations moving towards SNOP, integrated business planning, and still working in silos. It's a lot of work being done, a lot of mechanism and processes being defined, but at the end, it's all about sales driven. I'll give you an example of a cement company. I won't name the company because we have an NDA with them, but it's simple. They have SNOP very well defined, and they used to have a dynamic SNOP. So every demand from the sales team would become dynamic, disruptive, and nervous, and firefighting. And that was called dynamic in that particular place. I think, given this particular background that we moved into COVID, and then we came into war rooms to decide what is to be served where, critically, both efficiency as well as intelligence came into being. How do we consolidate this intelligence is important. How do we consolidate efficiency is important. And here, according to me, then what would be the needed groundwork for AI within the larger supply chain, including procurement, which is very important. Third, my esteemed colleague here would also speak on how are we moving towards automation and towards intelligence? What are the use cases? What are the challenges? What are the advantages? And how do you facilitate this with the right kind of talent and mix of talent? I say mix of talent between AI and human beings. That are very important. We decided to go ahead with this particular panel discussion in a very simple, structured fashion. And the very first discussion point we thought was that let's start with what is AI? What are different, how has it evolved into different types? And where is it headed to? So let me start with Ritesh first.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. So let me first introduce myself to you. I'm Rupesh Tomar. I represent a company called EIH Limited. You may or may not be aware of EIH, but you must be aware of the Oberoi Group. So I head the procurement for the group. So we heard the panel discussion before us, so we all are aware that there are colleagues which are from different industries. We from the hospitalities are just a flip side of it actually, right? Because for us, the guest comes first And so basically the rest of the things followed. And because of that, generally price is not our consideration, but yes, we can't say that it is not. So AI generally plays a very important role. So I would say that from automation to intelligence, there is a very thin line or there is a hard line also. So it is just what is our perception to it actually. We have, as a procurement fraternity, different things to do, right? We have large data which is not structured. There are different material codes, there are different transactions, there are different invoices. We heard about it in so many discussions basically in the last panel. And how to use practically those data is really, really a big task for us, because if there is a automation happens, then the agility comes into picture, and then after this agility, basically the intelligence come into picture. So let me just set the context here. So what is something, as per my observation, AI, something which is simplified, something which will help you basically decide your timelines, and which will give you basically some intelligent scenarios wherein you can take decisions in the interest of the organizations and the interest basically, and ultimately the end result is generation of the working capital and the profits for the organization, because organization works for the profits. So there are different kinds of AI platforms basically we use. Some of them you must be familiar with. One is robotic process automation, right? So there are different kinds of things actually. So before I go longer on this topic, so maybe I'll just tell you that what are the things which generally we feel so that which are really, really bothering us and taking us a lot of time. So data which I've already spoken about, right? So structuring of that data is important. Then we have two important aspects basically. So I spoke about intelligence and I spoke about automation. So there are tactical things which we all do, right? Wherein we generally don't require that much of intelligence which comes into picture. Maybe a making of a purchase order, making of a purchase requisitions, generating invoices, getting those invoices, processing those invoices, GRN happens, then you have ASNs, there are different compliances wherein generally the automation helps you a lot. And then here the AI comes into picture, and here basically the robotic process automation comes into picture, wherein you can just go vendor onboarding, you can just go basically a bot which can prepare a purchase order for you, basically automation of your GRNs, automation of your payments, invoice processing through your vendor portals and all. These are basically some of the examples wherein we can put in. Then we have machine learning. You all are aware of machine learning, right? There are forecastings which happens. So in traditional way, we used to have a lot of forecasting techniques, right? So we have moving average one of the way, we have statistical process control one of the way. But these are the traditional way. So machine learning comes into picture, you give some kind of input to the machine and then you observe the output and then you can go forward about it. You have what is the optimal inventory you need to plan, what is something basically a sales forecasting which you need to do, what is something different kind of scenarios which we need to analyze. So here the machine learning comes into picture. Then we have generative AI. We all use generative AI, right? ChatGPT is one of the best example as of now. You all are aware of it, right? Then there are other things which generative AI can also do, right? Can anybody give me an example wherein generative AI can take place? Any example? RFQ creation. That's the best example. So you have a lot of things, right? You are depending upon your colleagues. Basically, you have agreements which needs to be sanitized. You have eRFQ, you have e-tendering, you have vendor onboarding, right? These kind of things basically this generative AI can give you. You can just need to just define your algorithm, define your logic, and then you can get the output. Then you have predictive AI. There are different kind of scenarios wherein a purchaser needs to take a decisions. What could be the price? What could be my negotiation strategies? What could be basically the prices which are happening across the globe? So predictive AI comes into picture. Apart from this, there are different kind of AI models which are present, and my fellow colleagues are also taking it through. We have as a purchaser different kind of indexes we track it. We can automate those indexes into the system, right? We have NCDX, we have EIA, we have World Container Index, right? We have different kind of indexes wherein these kind of indexes through an API integration to your system you can just easily track that what is happening across the globe, and then you can de-risk basically, or you can take the decision and you can bring agility into system. So that is basically some of the things I would like to say.
गुड आफ्टरनून। कुछ लोग मैं देख रहा हूँ सो भी रहे हैं, प्लीज़ थोड़ा सा इसको डिफरेंट एक मोड में ले आते हैं। एआई ऐसा नहीं है कि आज ही है, एआई महाभारत काल से भी है। अगर आपने सुना होगा तो कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्य मा फलेषु कदाचन, भगवान कृष्ण ने सबको बोला कि अपना कर्म करिए, लेकिन उनको पता था, अर्जुन को बोल रहे हैं हमने इनको सबको मार चुके हैं, कुछ है नहीं, तो रिजल्ट पहले से पता था। तो एआई पहले से है, एआई आज नहीं है। बट आज के संदर्भ में जो एआई हम जानते हैं उसको अगर हम पॉइंट वाइज डिफाइन करते हैं तो दो तरह से हम देख पाते हैं। पहला है मेन एआई, जिसमें प्रोक्योरमेंट सिस्टम्स को डेवलप करते हैं, उसमें भी है एमएल, मशीन लर्निंग, एनएलपी और आरपीए। इन तीनों को अगर डिफाइन करें तो एमएल है मतलब प्रेडिक्शन, किसी भी चीज़ का प्रेडिक्शन कैसे करते हैं, आइदर सेल्स हो, आइदर प्रोक्योरमेंट हो या कोई प्रमोशंस हो, उसको कैसे चलाएंगे उसको देखते हैं। और सप्लायर का रिस्क क्या है, इस चीज़ में बेसिकली ये तीन चीज़ें आती हैं। देन होता है एनएलपी, एनएलपी मतलब नेचुरल लैंग्वेजेस प्रोसेसिंग। इसमें क्या है बेसिकली, अगर आप देखते हो तो जो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं हम किसी भी सप्लायर के साथ, उसका रिव्यू मैकेनिज्म है, इनवॉइसिंग कैसी होती है, सेंटीमेंट्स क्या है मार्केट का, तो और सप्लायर का फीडबैक जो मार्केट से आता है वो अगर हमारे पास है तो ये इसमें करते हैं। थर्ड आता है आरपीए। आरपीए क्या है बेसिकली कि प्रोसेस डिफाइनिंग जो ऑटोमेशन प्रोसेस है इसमें आता है। देन इसका हैंडलिंग कैसे होता है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कैसे होता है, पीओ कैसे जनरेट होता है, पीओ का प्रोसेस कैसे होता है, सप्लायर ऑनबोर्डिंग प्रोसेस क्या है, अप्रूवल वर्क फ्लो क्या है, और स्पीड ऑफ ऑपरेशन क्या है, और एरर को कैसे कम कर सकते हैं, इस आरपीओ के थ्रू देखते हैं। तो पहला हो गया मेन एआई। सेकंड हो गया जनरेटिव, जो अभी हमारे कोलिग ने बताया, जिसमें आरएफपीएस को करते हैं, निगोशिएशन स्टेज को देखते हैं कि स्टेज का निगोशिएशन है, प्राइमरी है, सेकेंडरी है, टर्सरी है। देन होता है मार्केट का इनसाइड। मार्केट इनसाइड अगर इंटरनेशनल प्रोडक्ट है तो इंटरनेशनल मार्केट का इंटेलिजेंस कैसा है, रीजनल है तो रीजनल, लोकल है तो लोकल, या नेशनल प्रोडक्ट है तो नेशनल प्रोडक्ट। देन उसके बाद आता है वर्चुअल असिस्टेंट, जो आज के डेट में आप देखते हैं बैंकिंग में भी है, बहुत सारी चीज़ों में है कि आप कोई भी बटन दबाइए, एक दबाइए तो बताएगा, दो बताइए तो दबाइए, तो वो चीज़ें इसमें भी आती हैं जनरेटिव इसमें। थर्ड होता है कोई सप्लायर का जो स्कोर कार्ड होता है कि हम इस सप्लायर के साथ हमने काम किया तो उसका क्या स्कोर है, मतलब ये इसके साथ नेक्स्ट ईयर काम कर पाएंगे या हमको अच्छा मार्जिन देगा, इसका फिल रेट क्या था, वो पैशनेट उसके बारे में ये देख सकते हैं हम कि इस सप्लायर का क्या था। तो दो तरह से है बेसिकली, एक मशीन लर्निंग हो गया, दूसरा हो गया जनरेटिव एआई। तो जो मैंने समझा है एआई को इस दो फॉर्म में समझा है। अब मैं उसका यूज केस बताता हूँ। अभी मैं एक जस्ट स्टार्टअप ज्वाइन किया अभी रिसेंटली, वैसे मैं 24 साल रिटेल में रहा, वॉलमार्ट, मेट्रो, टाटा, रिलायंस सबके साथ मैंने काम किया, एक अच्छा एक्सपोजर था, एज ए हेड काम किया। बट अभी एक छोटा स्टार्टअप है हमने जिसको ज्वाइन किया, हालांकि छोटा नहीं कहेंगे, 5 साल पुराना, 1000 करोड़ का हम टर्नओवर कर रहे हैं। बट एक बहुत अच्छी चीज़ उसमें बताते हैं यूज केस एआई का। हमें सप्लायर ऑन बोर्ड करना होता तो हार्डली 5 मिनट लगता है। हम उसको चाहे एज ए बायर बनाएं या आइदर उसको हम सेलर बनाएं, उसको हम बेचना है या हमसे खरीदना है। जस्ट जीएसटी नंबर डालिए, सारी डिटेल अगले 5 मिनट के अंदर आ जाती है, आपको करना नहीं। पहले क्या होता था, इनसे पूछिए उनसे पूछिए, बहुत टाइम लगता था। हम लोग तो तब से हैं जब हमारे पास नेट नहीं होता था, तब से हम इस ट्रेड में है प्रोक्योरमेंट में। 100 किलो की बैग होती थी, आज 500 ग्राम का हम दाल खरीदते हैं। तो कहने का पर्पज़ ये है कि एआई ने चेंज तो बहुत किया, और हम लोगों ने तो पूरी इंडस्ट्री को तब से देख रहे हैं जब से एआई, मतलब कह सकते हो कि बहुत सारे इसमें चेंज हुए। तो मेरी तरफ से इतना ही सबमिशन।
AI can be seen through lot of examples, but थोड़ा बहुत तो उसको फ्रेमवर्क में लाना पड़ेगा। आपने हिंदी में बोल दिया तो अब you tend to move towards your mother language, right? And for doing that, you definitely have to define it. I'll just ask you, how does a solution provider review this transition and the kinds of transition that are happening in AI in very short form? If you could do, if you can give the mic here. Here is one of our partners, so I think it's very important for them to see how they see it, and let's see how we see it as from our perspective. I'll give you the academic perspective, because mostly people say academicians are outdated, right? So they get the last word to speak on it.
So from our perspective, sir, we kind of group them into three broad buckets, like what this AI can bring in. One, some of those tasks which used to take, like efficiency improvement, right? That is a very simple bucket. We know that there are use cases within it. Second is where previously it used to take humanly impossible, like certain things were not possible for humans to do. That bucket is something which AI is able to touch today. So as we do the S2P transformation or SNOP transformation across these different use cases are there. And the third bucket is where we are able to speed things up much faster than what. So first is where we are bringing in efficiency in terms of AI bringing in its own thoughts and all, versus the last bucket is where we are able to speed up things 50%, 80% compared to what we are doing, and these are able to run 24/7. So that is how we are grouping all these solutions across the board and trying to see where is the maximum value. And obviously we start with the lowest hanging fruit and go on. I don't know whether I answered your question.
No, you did. And I think let me put it in some perspective. The evolution of AI is to get some intelligence, right? So I think it is from time immemorial. The very first AI is traditional AI where you try to know what it is. And in actual term, we call it as it's more about data as it is. So it is very important to understand that. The second case is how do you use data to predict? So predictive AI. All your generative and traditional can be predictive AI. And the third one is prescriptive AI, which is agentic AI. I think there is a very strong resemblance to analytics. Very strong. Where you have three kinds of processes. One, simple descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive. And I think all these movement from traditional to agentic AI is showing this particular direction. I think we should not lose sight of the basic framework through which we should see this transition. And I think all of us have given good examples of this thing. And it is very good to see that one is moving towards prescription, one is looking at efficiency, and one is looking at trends, the single source of truth, through the same data. And same data can give you a lot of understanding of all the three. It's not necessary that you need three different data for three different things. So AI evolution, as I see it in academia, is very interesting. It's talking about big data analytics through AI. That's what machine learning was all about. And hence, we should not lose sight of this. This is, I think, according to me, this is a very important differentiation to start anything in AI, and to understand anything in AI. Let me go back to the second part of it. I think everybody has defined this in a big way. We saw examples and some use cases of efficiency, automation, and we saw some reference to intelligence. Now, the question is, how are these transitions taking place in organizations? And how organizations are leveraging them in current context? What is the extent of understanding of this? And how do we leverage the whole entire knowledge of traditional data sciences to modern unstructured chaos theory, that's AI, or machine learning? How do you use them? And how organizations are really using. So I thought all our guests here, as they have been using this, can have some contribution, and it will be a free flow. Please pick up on one person to another. Please come in where you add value, right?
Rakesh, thank you for giving me an opportunity. And Vasant, thanks for setting up a context, because I can see that it's more related to what we are doing now in our company also. So So in mankind, mankind is being known for a pharmaceutical aggressive company. Our growth is almost double the industry growth in pharma. So the same process follows in our procurement also. So we have initiated digital procurement transformation into our company, wherein we restructured our organization. So the procurement organization has been restructured, and now we have started implementing the AI functions into our procurement processes. So firstly, we have connected AI with our ERP system. So now after connecting that, we get a unified data from through AI of an ERP. So even a single person having not an analyst can put up queries into his language, and he gets prompts and structured data through an ERP. So suppose he wants that I wanted to know my top 10 suppliers. It will get a structured data, who are the suppliers, what's their purchase volumes, what are their all details with respect to the vendors, we get that. And recently what we have started doing that in this year's planning, budget planning, we have started using AI. We have connected with all indexes in the market, chemical index, metal index, even the currency part we have included, and we are taking that advantage in building up our budgets for the next year. So I just, this happens with a commitment from the top leadership and conviction from the department.
Thank you.
I think I
Sachin?
have addressed most of the points.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, and thank you, Dilip. I think you have already expressed what you are. I will say you are very far ahead from rest of the world.
I was thinking we are late.
Yeah, no, but let me just give you, to begin with, I am Sachin Sharma from Godfrey Phillips. I head procurement for Godfrey Phillips, been with the organization for the last 17 years. Total work experience of 27 years in the industry, started with operations, procurement, supply chain. So this is what I do. Now let us take a pause over here, and Dr. Singh, with your permission, if you allow me to do that. Let's create, we have been discussing about the frameworks. So let me just throw to the audience one framework which I have been personally using a lot. It's called the strategic capability frontier. Defining the strategic capability frontier while you're doing a transformation from a transactional procurement organization to a AI-led or AI-driven procurement, right? So if we just plot our entire journey into the two axes in a form of a graph, the x-axis defines the capability, the technology, the integration that you are doing in your organization, and the y-axis defines the strategic value. So you have resilience, you have got innovation, you have got other things which are top of the line. So you will find that when we started procurement, initially it was more of a transactional organization, right? We can say a department which is handling the transactions. Then it transitioned to cost reduction or cost control. Then it further transitioned to value contributors. So the total cost of ownership came into existence and other things. But in today's time, as Mr. Dilip, you have mentioned, you have just seen Mr. Dilip saying that you are already benchmarking, or you are taking help of AI, benchmarking your raw materials to indexes, MCX or any other. So this is the real where you have started creating the value. So as on date, as we are speaking, anybody who is into procurement is a value creator for the organization. This is how, if you are doing ESG journey in your organization, AI will help you. If you are doing digital integrations, of course, AI can really help you. If you are doing negotiations, and I'll take Vasant, you may have a AI bot for this as well. Can we have an AI bot developing a negotiation game theory model? So you have your thoughts, we have seen that. So this is something very unique which is happening. And because this is a pattern recognition model backed up by so many of the logics which have been built up. And one thing which I will like to conclude with is that any AI system, whatever you use, is as intelligent or as dumb as you are in terms of initially taking that information from that. So let's say if I as a procurement person at a senior level, if I have to drive that journey in my organization, I have to really spend time on the AI module. So I cannot sit that, okay, the team will do for me. So when you enter an AI engine, it'll be starting with you as an intern, and then it'll keep on graduating. So in today's time, I have a request to all the procurement leaders out here, and we have our friend from SRF also sitting over there. Hi. You know, so this is, he knows what I'm speaking about. So today I'm spending more than 1.5 hours on a daily basis sitting on AI engines doing several things. So this is what my summation is.
Yeah. Hi, this is Brijesh Pandey. So I'm the Chief Procurement and Supply Chain Officer for RK Business Group. Maybe not many people would know the group. Just to tell, RK Business Group is the largest service provider for IRCTC. So today, this group is managing more than 700 trains across the country. So in terms of the complexity that we have to manage on a daily basis is about 700 different trains. About 80% of Vande Bharat business belongs to this group. 700 different trains catered throughout 300 different kitchens, about 1,000 odd different SKUs. So, and it's a daily, so it's a perishable and non-perishable supply chain which is to be managed on a daily basis. So it's been few months that I've been associated with the group, and first thing, as a use case if I have to mention there, so before joining the group, you can say the group, or as most of the organization would be there in today's context, would have an ERP in place which is primarily managing a P2P role. So from there, in the last few months, where we have ended up today is we have all our ecosystem actually connected to the ERP. Okay, so all our suppliers are connected. They are receiving automated purchase orders. So the demand are coming from all the trains, all the kitchens, through all our store operations. We have got about 40, 50 stores across the country. So automated demand coming from the trains and from the kitchens, and store managing their inventory on a very lean model basis, because suppliers are also connected. So we have a complete visibility on goods in transit at any point of time. So we are following a very simple philosophy that if we have to work on the entire universe as a procurement group, it is too complex to manage, and you need a very large team in a very complex organization. But if you start managing only the exceptions, and AI actually helps you deliver the exceptions on a dashboard, on actually a very easy to read mechanism. So today, you know where your supplies are failing, okay, and you can immediately act upon that. You don't have to follow up for the supplies which are already happening. Now, AIs are also helping us negotiate the contracts. So the RFQs or the reverse auctions, and you can actually design your theory and reverse auctions. If it's a commodity where let's say you have a very competitive world outside, so you can just straight away get into an auction and start working on that. But if it is a very product specific belonging to a different industry, so then you have to have your own RFQs, and AI generates those RFQs and can make your process much faster. So I believe AI is contributing in different places. One is it is making your decision making much faster. Okay, it is improving your efficiency in terms of transaction speeding. So if earlier something would take few days, now it is taking few minutes. For example, I think Dr. Harshvardhan, you picked up supplier onboarding piece. So I worked with Pepsi for a long time, and I know how tedious a process of supplier onboarding can be, because it involves, let's say, even somebody visiting the site and getting the financials, commercials, quality audits, and all those things done. Today, with the help of technology, automation, and AI all put together, I think that supply and onboarding, which earlier might have taken days to weeks to months, can be done in few hours. So we have supplier onboarding processes in place, wherein you just put your GST numbers or PAN card numbers, and you get all the details online, wherein how commercially viable the supplier is, how compliant the supplier is and the promoter is, or let's say different players who are attached to that supplier, how comparative the supplier is. So those things are already in place, and I believe there's a lot to go because the technology is upgrading at a much faster pace. And if the mindset is there in terms of organization to keep on evolving and adapting to the new technology, I think that's the only way the organization should move towards to. It not only is giving you efficiency, but also giving you a lot of transparency and giving you a lot of confidence in your corporate governance. So it is also contributing somewhere in that space as well, giving a lot of value to the investors and the stakeholders. That's what I'm saying.
Amit?
Hi, I'm Amit Desai, and I take care of procurement sourcing in Lupin, which is another pharma company. And let me share one thing, very basic thing. Whether we like it or not, it's here. It's how we want to embrace it, how we want to take it, and how quickly we want to get onto the learning curve. I think that is something, this I am saying with my personal experience. Because when AI has come in, we were looking at AI as being used outside of the industry for personal uses. But even when presentations were made, the thought process within the organization and within the people was, I know everything, I have the data. How will AI really contribute in a different way? And I think we have moved beyond that because of partly one thing, that it is forced now. More than whether we like it or not, it is forced. And as we start using, we are seeing the benefits of AI. If I have to particularly speak about Lupin, in our organization, AI has come in through the finance route first as use cases, because I believe that was the easiest way to automate on a procure to pay transactions. On the manufacturing side, on the machine learning, in the process automation and ML, is where significant data generation has taken place and is being very strongly used. The predictive part of the AI, wherein how do you manage a particular process, how do you manage to keep the process. So when we speak of AI, we speak of AI from all aspects which are touching the industry. Pharma is a highly regulated industry. One of the use cases that we are looking at and is of great interest to us is inventory management, because of the nature of the business, highly regulated. Our regular products, there are multiple codes, multiple plant, multiple locations. Having a simple example, one material the vendor is giving the same material and we have around 20 codes. The inventory balloons, and there are various stages where the regulatory, the quality, everyone comes into the picture, and I strongly believe that is one use case that we intend to put in to harmonize and manage the inventory. With the new product launches, I can clearly say that, you know, we are looking at a 20 to 25% reduction in inventory just by using the AI and the strong data that is there. Because from a human perspective, it's practically impossible to rummage through the data, whatever regression analysis you do. The bots and the machines, the AI, is able to deliver and throw precise results. What again goes back is the prompt engineering, what you ask, how you ask, and how do you utilize it to the organization's benefit. I mean, that's what I wanted to put across.
Ashish?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, maybe a quick introduction. So I'm Ashish Gupta. I lead procurement and supply chain for Compass Group. Compass is India's largest food service, B2B food service company, also the world's largest food service provider, operating across more than 45 cities in the country, and serving very large number of clients, more than 850 odd locations. So let me talk about how we are trying to build the culture of AI in the organization. And it's a journey. I think all of us would agree that there is a lot of excitement, lot of buzz around AI, but there's still a lot of let's say hesitation in terms of how do I actually bring it to life. And that's where one thing which we have started in our organization is to kind of create AI club, which is helping people to feel more comfortable using AI into their day-to-day use. I mean, across the organization. I'm not talking specifically about procurement, but if I talk about procurement, simple things like writing SOPs or specs and those things which are not really structured very well in the organization. I think doing those simple things itself or creating training modules for your vendors are those very, very simple use cases where people who are not having the skill sets to do those things in the past are able to do that very, very efficiently using AI. So that skill gap, which was existing, like earlier they were dependent on maybe marketing colleagues to support them doing the, making a nice presentation or a video training module for the vendors, is something which the colleague, the procurement team is able to do by themselves. That's a very small use case. I think some colleagues talked about RPS. So we are using RPS in invoice processing, for example. So more than 65%, 2/3 of our invoices are processed through RPA auto processing. Remaining is where there is a human intervention, which we are also now trying to get to an individual document processing layer, which can help to avoid that manual intervention as well. So that brings in a lot of transparency. The vendors don't have to wait for why my invoice got rejected. That information he's also able to understand and act on it in a very quick manner. Vendor onboarding, again, a lot of colleagues talked about it. That's again another area where we have implemented AI, so CLM tools which are AI enabled, which is allowing us to quickly not just make comparisons between the initial template and what changes have happened through the exchange with the vendors and with different stakeholders, and quickly manage that entire approval process. I think there are a lot of use cases. Some of them, for example, simple chatbots. For example, there is. So I am in food service industry, and like Brijesh talked about, I mean, there's a lot of unorganized, unstructured kind of suppliers ecosystem out there. How do we get the right visibility on the supply information? It's a daily operation, right? So we need to be able to, when you're working with 1,000 suppliers supplying across, more than 250 odd locations and more than 1,500 to 2,000 ingredients, it's a very complex network. How to bring that visibility, how to track that so that you are not missing out, we are not having stockouts, etc. So having chatbots which can actually coordinate with the vendors, getting the status of purchase orders, is there an issue in delivery, are they delivering on time, etc. So these are some of the cases which are actively in, right now in our organization. I think there's a long way for us to, start. I mean, the opportunities are actually limitless. It truly depends on how we are able to identify where, the system can be, the processes can be simplified, the speed can be improved. In the end, like some colleagues already mentioned, how procurement can create more value for the business. I think that's where, so the use cases are truly, the opportunities are just opening up. And the pace at which that AI is evolving, I think, I mean, all what we have seen about, Gen AI, we talk about agentic AI, all this is a evolution over a period of, less than a year, I would say. So I think there is so much of evolution which is happening. We are yet to see, a lot more, I would say.
Kapil, your views on this?
Thanks, Rakesh. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kapil Maini. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer for Syrma SGS. A lot of you may not know this company. We are an electronic manufacturing services provider. Now what we really do is we do PCB assemblies. Those green boards that you see with a lot of electronic parts. So our supply chain is really complex. We have over 80,000 parts, over 2,000 suppliers. And similar to Lupin, we did leverage the AI abilities to control inventory, because the same part, we have 13 manufacturing locations, just to add to the complexity factor. So that makes it really complex. So we had certain units which would have the inventory in excess, and certain units that would also have a stock out. And 2.5 years back, this was actually two companies that merged. And because of that, the same water bottle was called by different part numbers in the two organizations. So we also had to make sure that we consolidate that. So I think automation really helped us here to not only make sure that we control inventory, at the same time make sure that we are not buying material at extra cost when we see that there is a stock out at one location. So that has been one great use case for us. The second use case, a very interesting one, is as an organization, we are growing at 30 to 35% for the last 3 years. And this comes in through new business. We are expected to quote for a product to a customer. And the RFQs typically in the past have been taking up to about a month to quote, because there could be from 200 to 500 electronic parts and a printed PCB on top of it, and then of course your assembly cost. So by the time you get the pricing from everywhere and quote, it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. Many times we were not able to get the competitive prices because it took long and there were targets customers were pushing us. Now here we really leveraged AI, because if there were 500 parts, normally electronic parts in many cases are already common. What we realized is out of those 500, maybe 200 we are already using, and the prices of those are already available with us because we are buying them. So then we also set up our supplier base, that for this part number, this is the supplier whom we normally buy from. So when an RFQ came in, it took the prices of the 200 that were already available, and for the rest it knew these 300 I need to send out an RFQ. We used an automated tool which would send out the RFQ automatically to the distributor or the supplier of a particular part, saying these parts can you please quote within a week. And we started to get automated responses through those tools. Now, and obviously we had multiple suppliers, and the tool would compare and tell us, okay, which is the lowest one. Now through the internal cost for the 200 and the lowest cost for the outer 300, we were able to bring down the quoting time from 3 to 4 weeks to 3 to 7 days. And this made our customer really, really happy. Great use case. I'd also like to, take a use case from one of my previous organizations, which was more kind of predictive in nature. So what we had done was that there is a predictive tool called risk maps, which looks at the events that are happening in the world. And an event could be a strike, event could be an earthquake, event could be a volcano, it could be anything. It's just looking at the events. What we did was on the world map, we said, this supplier is in Shanghai, this supplier is in London, or this supplier is in Mexico or wherever. And it would just keep tracking. And the moment it says, okay, now there's an earthquake in Indonesia, you have 3 suppliers, 1, 2, 3, that are close by in that proximity. This could cause a potential risk to you. Can you evaluate and see what corrective actions need to be taken? Otherwise, what would happen is you would not come to know what's happening. And after 3 weeks or after 4 weeks, you'll suddenly realize there is stock out because one factory was shut down for 2 or 3 weeks because of the volcano or whatever. And actually, COVID was a great trigger. COVID actually started all this. What do we do this? And a lot of these AI tools, predictive tools came up, which I think we all in procurement can leverage to see that we reduce our risks in the business. So those are the 3 cases I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, guys. Thank you, Rakesh. My name is Gupta and I represent Husk here. Husk is the world's largest mini-grid company who basically deals in the renewable and solar mini-grids. We operate basically in the rural part of UP, Bihar, Jharkhand and West Africas. I am one of those professionals who got an opportunity to work in different domains. So I have already worked in robotics automation, construction equipment, and then moved to automotive, that into EV, and then interior, and now renewable. So what other panelists said, that how we have incorporated AI, and this journey is still going on. So apart from the tasks which are repetitive in nature and being managed by the internal stakeholders like PR to PO, invoice processing, payment automation, this has been done. But where AI is really helping us, apart from the tasks which are transactional in nature and repetitive, we have started doing the periodic price benchmarking, because in our business there is a very frequent need of doing a quotation for several tenders in the EPC worldwide. So we have connected our ERPs with the help of AI to the different indexes, where in every 1 month or 45 days our complete BOQ cost will get revised, number one. Second thing, where AI has helped us is giving us a warehouse wise intelligence, because there are multiple spin code basis OTIF which we are getting, and this is how we have really reduced our supply chain cost. The third thing, not in the husk, but in my previous organization when I was working with Homelane, since we are having showrooms in a different cities, so we are basically deciding a pricing strategy with the help of AI, not only by doing the price benchmarking, but also basis the economic threshold of that city particular, the brand presence, different brand presence in that area. So this has really helped us. So my take, which I understood over my journey, is like if we see AI only in the functional silos, might be it will not help that much to an organization. Rather than if we can combine it at a enterprise level thinking, this will make more sense for a complete PNL and for a complete organization. That's all from my side on this thing.
Thank you. I think
if Dr. Rakesh allow me, so I also would like to share one of the use case rather in my current organization. So we all have heard about the credit worthiness of the vendors. Right? So there are organizations who checks the credit worthiness of the vendors, and then generally we at procurement sits at a risk wherein we just give advances to the vendors which is unsecured. Correct? And because of that, so we also have some of the vendors who do a credit worthiness check, and just top vendors wherein I was giving advances to them. So we just got it randomly checked that what is the credit worthiness which is coming into the market, and the results were really surprising. Previously we were not aware of, and then after this we are aware of that these are the vendors who are at the red flag, and who are basically, so this report basically from a AI platform gives you 100% of the things wherein whosoever are the vendors who are not complying with the land of law, who are non-compliant basically on the GST side, or maybe or a compliance side, maybe they are having some kind of legal cases which are on the ethical side even. So that gives you a red flag whether you have to still go ahead with those vendors or not. If still you don't have any choice, then what we have done is that we have just edited our SOPs stating that a stipulated amount, beyond that if we give any advance, so definitely it has to go through a advance bank guarantee. And that is how basically we are protecting interest of the organization. That is what the beauty of systems, basically when you do autonomous things, then you come through and then you can protect risk of the organizations as well. Thank you.
all right, thank you. I think one common thread that really goes is that AI is still efficiency improver to a very great extent. We are moving towards intelligence. I think there's some use cases which did have, but there's a lot of planning that needs to be done in order to use those AI. In the context of time, I would say, what are the critical requirements that UI requires from an organizational perspective to be ready? So we'll take 3 responses, whoever picks up first.
I think I can pick up at least one out of that. I think the preparation from a data standpoint, so how we construct our master data and transactional data and how clean the data is one of the prerequisites for implementing a good AI system. So if we don't have, so because AI mostly would read the historical data and get a, let's say, give you a predictive or prescriptive analysis out of that. So one of the prerequisite would be data management, that's one. And before that, actually the mindset for the organization that we really want to go that space. Of course, there's no choice, one has to do that particular piece. And last element I think people will talk about is manpower, the skilled manpower. How do you develop your team and yourself and of course your peer group in adopting the technology, whatever is available and how it is evolving? How do we ensure that your entire
Let's
team
restrict to 1 minute so that
sure.
we pass it on.
Yeah, yeah, so one of the very important steps towards AI in an organization is selecting the right tool. See, it has been proved in last year in 2025 that almost 95% of the investments in AI have failed, and there are reports on it. If you have to get into a right way of implementation, put efforts to select the right tool for AI. There is incredible work which is going on in the country on development of AI tools, like we have GEP or there are many more. The belief in a right tool is very, very important, because most of the organizations think that they can develop their own tools. But it has been proved internationally that anybody who has invested in developing their own tools have ended up into a fiasco where they are not getting the right result. So selection of the right tool is one thing which I will definitely promote.
If I may add one, is I think a review of the processes, the process redesign, if I can put it like that. Because if we use AI and we want to still follow the same processes what we have been following all this while in terms of approval workflows, in terms of the human intervention required at different stages, then actually we are not going to be really able to make the best use of AI. So it really requires us to rethink our own processes internally.
Just shoot one word. I think we need top management buy-in, because a lot of things have to come top down. Let's say vendor selection. Today it is very subjective. Tomorrow, if you want to move to a stage where you link up all these, what is the health of the person, how is he financially sound, legally, is he okay, all that, and then you get a red flag, then automatically you should be bold enough to say, okay, we will not select that supplier, not that in the organization a person is saying, no, please go ahead with this supplier. So I think that intent has to be very clear, that we'll take fact-based decisions and not subjective decision making. And vendor selection is one of the examples. In all across, I think this is what will happen, because when you throw up and get fact-based decisions, you should be bold enough to be able to implement those.
You can take one or two more.
Hi guys. So what I really want to say, apart from the data designing and about biasness, that we always think that AI is just like a tool introduction in any organization, where we are just transitioning from old data to a new data and nothing else. But it is more on a cultural change, which we need to take care very diligently. And we need to very clearly call it out to the down the line people also, that what would be eventually their KPI and incentives, how they are being valued even after AI, because it should not give them a kind of a risk threatening to them that this is going to replace them or this is being not bad. Otherwise, they will not be very much wholeheartedly contributing to that and eventually
So
using
that means talent is very important here. And what are the key issues in talent management? Amit, can we have your views on this?
So, like what was mentioned, top down, I believe it has to be bottom up as well. And when it comes to talent management, there are sessions being taken on how to utilize AI, prompt engineering, awareness. In fact, I can give example within Lupin. There are sessions being conducted across all levels. it's not only at the top level that is being done, the top management, it is at a user level who is getting engaged. The whole idea is to get everyone around it. If I have to give 30 seconds quickly, it's like advent of calculator. People were cross-checking when the calculator came in whether the calculator is correct or not. AI is, we are at the cusp of that. We are rechecking. It will not make people redundant. It will not take away jobs. Only thing that will happen is we will make more intelligent and better decisions, and that is where the capability of the people and direction culturally has to be embedded.
Dilip, your views?
Until the systems are validated, relying on a system becomes a curse. So the way, the speed we are adopting AI can be dangerous also until human intervention is above that. So we should take care of adopting AI. That is my viewpoint.
All right, one more last intervention.
I have one viewpoint basically on this. I would agree basically to some extent with you. And just to add basically on this point, so I'll give you one example on this. So we all must be calculating a term called OTIF, which is on time in full. When you calculate OTIF, some point in time, so my procurement fraternity understands this, that sometimes we call the supplier and say that, no, we don't want this material at this time because of any issues. Maybe we don't have space, we have some working capital crunch, we have any other issues, wherein we just delay this to some extent. But the algorithm which you have given it to the system is that at a particular date you require this material. So the system will calculate it and send it to you. And they will say that this vendor is defaulter, but actually it is not. So here the human intervention is very important, because then you need to think that, yes, I have given this command to the systems. So either if we are delaying the material, then we need to correct the system then and there. Sometimes it happens, sometimes don't. And that is how human is also important basically.
All right, we can take one or two questions. We have 5 minutes. Any questions from the audience? I think everybody is waiting for the lunch. All right, so I think on that note, we will conclude this session. Thank you, all of you, for giving us the real state of AI adoption in the Indian industry from a very different, a heterogeneous group here. And thank you, all of you, for having patience to listen during the lunch time. All right, thank you.